What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith, co-owner of Recaptured Values, alongside my talented wife,
Bailey Smith.
And hey, guys, we've been working for you guys. I've been kind of behind the scenes, which is why you haven't been seeing me. But trust me, I've been working for you guys.
Working the magic.
I'm the magic man. I've been doing all the social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. You know what I mean? I've been working for you guys. But yes, a lot of big things are coming, and we are happy that you are watching these videos. We hope these videos help you guys. And
we're going to be putting out new videos every Tuesday, and we're going to call it Teach It Tuesday. So be prepared to learn. So whether you're a mama, a grandma, and any sort of family member making stuff for your little nieces and nephews, whatever, shop owners, we welcome you to watch our videos and learn. We're just going to be going through our favorite patterns and showing you how we use them in our own shop, and we hope you can benefit from them.
Well, enough of the introduction. We hope you enjoy this video. See y'all on the other side.
Hey everybody, happy Teach It Tuesday. Today we're going to be learning how to do a t-shirt dress. Really cute, simple, high-low t-shirt dress from Brindille and Twig. When you go to their website, they now have little kid sizes and big kid sizes. And I think the little kids go from 0 to 3 months up to 5 to 16. And then the bigger kid sizes would go from the end of that to, I think, size 14. I'm not really sure. We use just the little kid sizes in our shop. But you go there to buy the pattern. We'll link it down below. Before we go any further, if you haven't joined our group on Facebook is RV's Show and Tell. And the and is the and sign. I think it's called an ampersand sign. But we'll link that down below. And what we do is before every Tuesday, we'll make a post in there giving you guys exactly the information for the pattern, for the like what type of fabrics it's good for, what you can use as far as machines go, if you need a serger, if you need a sewing machine, if you could do it on just one, stuff like that. That will give you like supplies you would need, like elastic and thread type. So definitely join the group because you'll be ahead of the game. When the videos are dropped, you'll have everything you need. You'll be able to hopefully have fabric available and the supplies available to do this. This one, all you need is the fabric, a machine, and some thread, pretty much. So I've already cut out the pieces, but pretty much what you'll need is, here's the pattern pieces. You will need to print out a back piece, a front piece, a sleeve piece, and a neckband piece. And then the sleeves, this pattern actually comes with a short sleeve or a long sleeve, and for this one it's a customer's order and they requested long sleeve, so we're going to do the long sleeve. The neckband, if you've watched my videos, then you know I like to fold the neckband and cut it on the fold. And this particular pattern actually gives you the neckband piece. Some patterns will make it in a cut chart and you have to determine, you know, how big the neckband is. But this one actually gives you the piece, so it's super simple. I like to go ahead and fold mine in half and cut it on the fold here, because you want your stretch going this way, of course. Because it's going around the neck, you want to be able to put it on the kid's head. I like to cut on the fold because it gives me less surface area to cut a straight line, and I feel like when you open it up like this, you have a lot more room to, you know, not cut straight and your neckband be a little messed up. So I like to just cut it on the fold here. You don't have to do that. You can totally cut it like this. And if you leave it open, you don't cut it on the fold, you cut it one piece. You don't fold the fabric over, you just cut it on one layer of fabric. Again, stretch going this way. Pay attention to your pattern pieces because most of them will say fold line. Everything except for this, unless you fold it like I did and cut on the fold, this would be your fold line. But your sleeve's gonna have a fold line, which means that you will fold your fabric over and butt the fold line up against the fold. You are not gonna cut on the fold, like the actual line that's folded, you're not gonna cut it. You're gonna cut around the pattern piece with that folded fabric, so that when you pull your piece out, it opens up into double. So you'll do the same thing with the front and the back pieces here, and this is what you will get. You will get a, let's see if I can get it here, back piece, a front piece, which again, the back piece is going to be lower and swooped, and the front piece is going to be higher and kind of swooped up just a little bit. And then you'll do your neckband. I'll show you how to do that in a second. You do your sleeves. So that's how the piece is going to look when you unfold it. So we'll just fold it right sides together. It doesn't have to be right now because I'll show you how to hem those in just a moment. But this is how your neckband would look. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and prepare my neckbands to be serged or a zigzag stitch depending on what machine you have. A zigzag stitch absolutely works. You do not need a serger, especially if you're not, you know, sewing to sell. You can absolutely make some really gorgeous garments with just a sewing machine. But it is a lot quicker and it's a lot more durable if you get a serger to do the inside seams and to also attach like neckbands and stuff like that. It just makes the process go a lot quicker for you, and it makes your garments look a lot neater without doing a whole bunch of work. So we'll link down below some of the machines that we use so you can see exactly what we use if you want to use what we use. So I folded the neckband hamburger style. So I folded it was long, and I folded it this way. And so now I'm going to fold it hot dog style. I'm going to fold it here, right sides together. So then I got my folded end down here, and then I folded, this is a fold, and so I'm going to put a pin right here. And so now this little line right here is where I'm going to serge or zigzag stitch. Okay, so to prepare everything else, you're going to want to do your fabric. You're going to lay your fabric, the back piece, right side up. And with the fabric, I'm using a double brushed poly in some mustard color from Knit Pop. We love Knit Pop. It's a very fast, they're great about customer service. If they ever run out of something that you've ordered, they'll message you asking, you know, what you want them to do, and they'll, you know, either refund you or they'll ship you something else. They're super friendly people, and we always link them down below. We love them. Their shipping may be a little delayed, which when I say delayed, their shipping is extremely fast to begin with, so you won't even realize that they're slightly delayed just because of everything that's going on with the COVID. But they're great people. We love that shop. But okay, so what you're gonna do, what I've just done while I was talking, was I put the front piece with right side down, so right sides are together now. And I basically just lined up all my seams. So I lined up the shoulder seams, and I lined up this seam to this seam, and I lined up this seam to this seam with right sides together. And that's what you're gonna serge or zigzag stitch. You're gonna zigzag stitch here or serge here, here, and here with a 1/4 seam allowance that's listed on your pattern pieces and in the pattern. So we're gonna go over to the serger. That's what I'm gonna use, but again, if you don't have a serger, you can just use a sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch with 3.5 width by 2 length, and it'll get you the same result. Just make sure you're doing a 1/4 seam allowance, and you can clip your seams if you need to, or you can leave them. It's whatever you want to do. So we're gonna go over to the serger and get started. Alright, so we're over here at the serger, and I will link all the information to the machine that I use down below. And the settings that I use currently, I have changed them a little bit since the last video that I did. So here's my side settings. And then here are my top settings. I sometimes change these two right here, which are the straight stitches. I sometimes change those to a little bit higher, which like normally is a 4. If I see that the seams are pulling and it's revealing my thread, I sometimes change those, but that's just what I do for now. So alright, so the neckband that we've already prepared, because we folded it this way and we folded it this way, and so I'm gonna do a serge seam right here. And remember the 4th allowance, which means pretty much you're gonna put it right up against the edge of your machine here. So it's not really going to cut off, pretty much just a teeny tiny bit if your edges aren't even. So my machine's on, so I'm going to go. Alright, then I'm going to take my little snippers here. Alright, and then we're going to quarter our neckband. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and this is the folded thing here. I'm going to snip right here. Teeny tiny snip, just enough so you can see it. Alright, then I'm going to take this pin out, and I'm going to fold my neckband out so that the seam is in the middle now. It's just so much in there, and it makes a really nice seam that's not super bulky right here. So I'm going to go ahead and So we got that front piece that we marked right there to see if it's the tiny little snips. We're gonna match that up with the back seam. And then we're gonna make sure that everything's still lined up, and we're gonna snip the side pieces here, because you want 4 equal pieces so that when you put your neckband on, you're stretching it equally. So now we're gonna construct the garment. Again, if you don't have a serger, you can use a sewing machine zigzag stitch. I said that earlier. Okay. So we're gonna do the shoulder seams and the side seams, just straight zigzag stitch. I mean a serger, actually. Snip those. Now we're gonna do the side seams here. Make sure your points are matched up. You can pin it if you need to. I don't. I just like to hold it. Alright, snip that there. Snip your tails here. And then we're gonna do this last side seam here. I love double brush poly because if you lay it together, right sides together, it typically kind of sticks to itself, so you don't have to use your pins as much. Got that. And so now if you flip this right side out, which we're not going to do right now, but it would be, the seam would be in the middle. So I'm going to show you how I quarter the actual neck hole for the neckband. So I'm going to fold shoulder seam to shoulder seam here, and so as you can see, the back of the dress is higher than the front of the dress. So I'm just going to mark my back and front point here, and so I'm just going to use my snippers here, just a tiny little snip here and here. Okay, and then so I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to match those 2 points, so my front and my back snips. And then since the front and the back are different rises, the shoulder seam is not going to be your quarter point. You're going to have to actually make this little snip right here on both sides, and that's going to be your equal 4 quarters. And so we're gonna match up this part again here and do this other side. And so there you can see that it's not the actual shoulder seam that you're gonna want to line up your quarters with. It's actually on the front here of the neckband, here and here, and then front and back. So okay, we're gonna go ahead and while we're at the serger, attach our neckband. So to do that, we're gonna flip the garment right side out. So as you can see, the seams, this is the seam right here. And then there's the back, here's the front, and here's the shoulder, there's the back, here's the front, and here's the shoulder seams. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I like to put the seam, you're gonna need pins here. This one you are gonna have to pin when you're doing the cuffs and stuff. So I'm gonna need 4 pins and put them up here. And I like to put my seam right here of the neckband and match it up to the back, just because I feel like it denotes the back, and it's just, I feel like where seams should go, either that or the side. Now if the swoop of the neckline was the same for the front and the back of the shirt, I would put it on the shoulder seam, because then you could wear the dress frontwards or backwards. But since this dress does have a back and a front that are different, I'm gonna put the seam in the back. So then you're just gonna go around and match up your points that you snipped to the points that you snipped on the neck hole. You just go around, keep going around, and I like to place the cuffs on the outside of the garment. It's just easier for me, but you can absolutely do it the other way. But this is just how I like to do them. I feel like I get the best result as far as what I do goes. So almost done here, and then we'll serge this neckband on. All right, so I'm gonna start right here on this first little side seam here. So I'm gonna put this underneath the serger right here. And then I'm gonna remove the pin. It's extremely important to remove the pins from your serger because your knife will cut them and it could send metal flying, or it could really dull your blade, and that's just not what you need. So make sure that you're removing your pins as you sew along. And so basically you're just gonna go around in a circle of the neckband and make sure all of your raw edges are lined up, and you're only stretching the neckband to lay flat on the opening. So the neckband is naturally gonna be a tiny bit smaller than the opening. So you're gonna wanna stretch it just so it lays flat, not more than that, or you'll get a very wavy seam. So, okay, here we go. And right before you get to your next pin, pull it out, and then find your other pins, and be very careful because of course you have pinned things in here, and so you can absolutely poke yourself a few times with these. So, all right, here we go. We'll go the next little stretch. All right, we're gonna pull this pin out, and then we're going to do the next little one. And then this is the last stretch here. We have no more pins, and we're just gonna go right over this seam. Yeah. Right back to where we started, and we're just gonna go over it and pull it out. And then again, you can cut your tail here, and then if you have the little tool to basically weed the tail back into your seam to finish it, you can use that. If you don't, you can just, I like to do this, I like to cut it about right there, and then if you just wiggle your seam, or you get these little fuzzies, and I like to just pull them tight just so you know that that's secure, and then cut them off. And if you have a sewing machine, and then you also pull the seam here, and if you can do this again and see pieces like this that come out, you'd want to cut those off. I think we pretty much almost got all these little pieces here. But then you do a zigzag stitch over that to cover that. But then you flip it out. Second. You flip it out, and there's your neckband. And you could do some top stitching if you want it to look super professional, which I will do in this video, but you don't have to do. That's just an extra step off the top stitch. You need a sewing machine to do that, or a cover stitch, but most people don't have those unless you are, you know, really, really into this. They're a little bit more pricey. We don't have one yet. I definitely want one eventually, but okay, so the next step that I'm going to do while I'm over here is I'm going to go ahead and serge the bottom of this dress. If you don't have a sewing machine and you just have a serger, you can use the serger just to serge the bottom, just to make it look a little bit more professional. So what I'm going to do, if you're doing that, you need to make sure that your thread is an appropriate color for the color of the garment, because you are going to be able to see the serged edge. So what I like to do is I just go and I make all my knobs go to 0. I take all the tension away, and then I'll just serge around the edge, the whole edge of the dress. Right, almost back to where we started. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go over where we started. I'll pull it out. And again here, you can do the same thing. If you have the tool, you can do that. Or what I like to do, like I said, is pull these little ends here. Pull them tight. Tight enough to that where you cut them, they're not going to be an issue. But I'm going to go ahead and hem this because I have both a serger and a sewing machine. But basically, you just get it to where you want it. So if you don't have a sewing machine and you're wanting really finished dresses, I would recommend getting those tools to tuck your tails in. Serger tails. But so that would be how my knife is a little dull, so it's not cutting the fabric exactly like it's supposed to be cut, but that would be the end result of the dress. It's not my favorite. I'm sure there's better ways you can figure out the serger. I just do that. Even when I do hem, it just makes it more finished to me. So we're going to go over to the sewing machine to hem the sleeves and the bottom of this dress in top stitch. And then we'll come back to the serger in a minute to attach the sleeves. So let's go over to the sewing machine. Alright, so now we're at the sewing machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to set it to a zigzag stitch. And again, I'll link the information to my sewing machine down. It's no longer on Amazon, but we will link a very comparable sewing machine down below that has all the stitches you'll need to complete your project. So you'll need a zigzag stitch, and I like to just keep mine, and this has automatic, it's digital, but it gives me 5 width and 2 length zigzag stitch. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and with my right side down, I'm going to fold up the end of the sleeve. So that's the round edge, and this is the sleeve, the part that you would actually, you know, typically be a hem. I'm going to fold it up about 1/2 inch. And so of course this is going to be wrong sides together here, this fold. And I'm just going to do a zigzag stitch. I'm just back stitch a little bit at the beginning, and I'm going to do a zigzag stitch right here, all the way across. I'm going to back stitch again at the end, and then I'm going to pull it off. And then I'm going to get my little clippers. Oh, we'll get those in a minute. So that's how it's going to look. That's the zigzag. You're going to do the exact same thing with the other one. Again, you're wanting to fold it, the end of the sleeve, wrong sides together. Again, it's a little difficult to tell when it's the double brush poly, but once you've done it for a while, you kind of have an eye and a feel for it. So again, about 1/2 inch folded up, back stitch, all the way across. And back stitch again, okay. And then cut your little tails off. Let me grab the scissors, or the snippers real fast. Alright, so I'm just going to cut these little edges off. And then that's all we've done. That's all we can do on the sewing machine with the sleeves. But while we're over here, we're going to go ahead and hem the bottom of the dress, as well as top stitch the neckband. So this is the inside of the garment. We are going to flip the bottom of the dress up, and I like to do it about 1/2 inch. Okay, so do it like this. You can absolutely do a straight stitch if you want to, but I'm going to do a wide zigzag stitch here. Okay, so I'm just going to go, I'll back stitch a little bit, and I'm going to go all the way around this dress. And I just keep folding around the curve. It takes a little bit of time. Hopefully I don't run out of bobbin thread. We're playing bobbin chicken here. So this is the back of the dress. It with the thread. Just keep on going. Now we're to the front of the dress. And again, don't stretch your fabric or you'll get a really wavy seam. So you're just basically holding it, keeping it in place. I'm not stretching this. I'm just holding it. And this walking foot is doing the work for me. It's pulling it through. I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to snip this little piece here because it's not going to matter. The serge seam was just for really convenience for this fabric because this fabric doesn't fray. So it really wasn't important to serge it, but I just feel like it makes the garment look a little bit more professional, and that's just what I do. Again, if you have a twin needle attachment, I have not gotten one of those yet, but it makes it look like if you serge the seam here, you serge the seam or serge the edge like we did, and then you get a double needle attachment. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but you put it on there, and then you can basically resemble a cover stitch machine. So that's pretty cool. Which is similar to how t-shirts are hemmed. We're almost to the spot where we started. We're just gonna go over that and back stitch a few times. And there we go. So then we're gonna snip our tails, our little end pieces here. We're gonna snip those. Snip this. Oop. Snip this and this right here. Okay, and then when you look at it, it's going to be a little wavy because it just needs to be pressed. And so what press means is just go to your iron, and then since this is the polyester fabric, it can melt. So you're going to want to make sure that your it's on like a medium and not like a high. You could use a low as well on your iron setting, but definitely not too high because you will burn your fabric and melt it, and it's not pretty. But that's the bottom. It just needs a good press to be done. So now we're going to top stitch the neckline, and what I like to do is I like to go to a straight stitch, just a regular straight stitch, and I am going to lengthen mine. It is 3.5 width by 3.5 length. That's what I like to do to mine at. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the serge seam is below our neckband, so that when we serge, it's going to be right here underneath. And so pretty much what top stitching does is it lays down this seam so that it's not flipped up or down. So what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch, and that's why it's called top stitching, is because you're doing it on top of the garment. So that's why you have to make sure that that seam is going this way and you're actually sewing on top of it underneath the garment. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a straight stitch. And I like to do it as close as possible, but just a tiny bit away from the actual line. If you can see, I'm gonna do it about right here. If you could see where I'm actually doing it. Let's see. So I'm actually gonna do it about right there is where the seam is gonna go. So I'm gonna pull this back up so you can see me go. And I'm just going to go around the circle. I'm not stretching the neckband. I'm just straightening it out. And then you're going to want to make sure that you lengthen that to at least 3.5, or you're going to have a straight stitch and the stitches are going to break when you try to pull it over the child's head. Again, you do not have to do this. This is just for cosmetics. It does make the garment look more presentable, but it doesn't necessarily change the functioning of the garment. Okay. And so we're back to where we started. We're going to go over that spot and back stitch and go over it again. And then, so that's how that looks there. We're going to snip those pieces. And then we're going to snip the little piece, the two pieces that came out the front and the two pieces that came out the back. That's where we started and we ended. So just make sure you're clipping those. And then here is our top stitched neckband. And again, this just needs to be pressed, but looks pretty good. So all that's left to do is to go back to the serger and finish constructing the sleeves, which again, you can absolutely do with a zigzag stitch, but I like to use my serger. So we're gonna go over there back to the serger to finish this. All right, back to the serger. So we're going to serge these sleeves, and so we're gonna put them right sides together. And we're gonna start right here is where I like to start, because I'm gonna show you a trick to go ahead and finish this seam off here so that it won't unravel. Okay, so we're gonna go, and I'm gonna get started. Okay, before anything, I need to go back to my settings because these are still on 0 from when I serged the bottom of the dress. So they're back on 3. All of them are on 3 for now. So I'm gonna do a little bit in here until I see that the needle is actually going into the garment. And so I'm gonna lift my foot up and I'm gonna pull the string here tight. I'm gonna try to pull off all the slack that I can pull off. And basically you're just straightening the string. And then I'm gonna pull it under here, under the foot, and pull it over to the edge here. So that when I pull this and I keep sewing, it's gonna cut it off for me. And that seam will be finished on that edge. I'll show you in a minute when it's done. So then we're gonna go all the way to the end here. All right, and we're gonna snip this one. This one really doesn't matter, you don't have to finish it because we're gonna finish it inside. But pretty much what I meant by that is now this one is done. It's not the prettiest seam, but it's pretty much done now so that it won't unravel. What I'll do is I'll top stitch this down, the seam here. We can top stitch this down so it's not a bother. If you have kids maybe with sensory issues, that would probably be a bother for them, but you can top stitch that down and it won't bother them as much. So this is the outside, and what I like to do now is go to the end of the sleeve. So it's now folded, and I'm gonna snip right here. So that when we match up the sleeve pieces in a minute, we'll have that point and this point to match up the sleeves. So we're gonna do the exact same thing with the other sleeve. Do that real fast, right sides together. Start with the end of the sleeve. Just enough where the needle has gone into the fabric and the needle is up all the way now. So it's not in the fabric, but it has gone through the fabric. And so I pulled my foot up and I'm going to straighten out these strings here and then pull them over. And don't pull too tight because you'll have a weird, you kind of fold the fabric. Just pull enough to where that it's underneath and you're gonna cut it off. All right, so then we're gonna go all the way to the edge again. Snip that, and then again snip your point here so that you have 2 seams to go into. And so we have this finished seam. This one kind of got a little weird on me, but again, just top stitch those down and it won't be an issue. Top stitch this part down and you can snip whatever weird stuff's coming off there, because it's not going to matter when you top stitch it down. If you weren't going to top stitch it down, there might be a little issue there, but all right. So that would also be a trick, the trick that I showed you. If you didn't have a sewing machine and you couldn't finish off the end of the sleeves like that, that's the way to do it. Or you could leave your tail long again and then tuck your tail in. That's totally a way to do it too. So we're going to flip these sleeves right side out now. We've already snipped the pieces on the end. And we're going to flip our sleeves right side out. And our garment is going to be wrong side out. It's going to be inside out. So let's do that because we've already got it this way. Go ahead and flip this inside out. So there's our neckband seam here. Okay, so what I like to do, if you've watched the crop top video, this is how you do an inset sleeve. You'll need 2 pins to do 1 sleeve. You're gonna pin the top and the bottom. So we're gonna go, and here is the armhole, and I'm going through the neck hole with my hand here. So here's the armhole. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab one of the sleeves here, and I am going to hold, so here's the sleeve. This is the hemmed end, and this is the curved edge. I'm going to pull the hemmed end into the sleeve. So now I have the sleeve hanging out the neck hole. This is the way this looks. I have the sleeve hanging out the neck hole just momentarily because it helps me keep it organized. And so now right sides together, I have the sleeve. This is the sleeve point, and I'm going to match it up with my shoulder seam here. Okay. Put a pin there. And then I'm going to match the bottom of the sleeve seam, which is this, to the side seam here of the dress. And I'm just going to put a pin here. And then you'll do the same thing with the other one, but I'm just going to do one for right now. And so when you pull it together, that is the inside of the sleeve. And you are going to stretch it. Not really stretch it, but you're going to manipulate it enough to where the edges are together, so that you're going to serge this edge, and you'll have to make sure that you pull the fabric down a little bit as you go so that your raw edges are together and you make the seam very pretty. So I like to start here, which is this is the bottom of the sleeve hem, and then also the side hem here. I like to start there. So I'm going to go here. And go around the circle. Pull your pins out as you go. And so I'm going to go around this part here and back to where I started. Snip it here. I'll zigzag over those later. Okay, so then there's a sleeve now. So now it's wrong side out, of course, but that's a sleeve. So we're doing the exact same thing with the other side. All right, so sleeve here, which is right side out. We're going to put it into the dress like this. So again, hand coming out the arm, pulling the hemmed edge of the sleeve into the garment, and I'm going to match up my sleeve with the shoulder seam here. I'm going to pin it. Let me grab another pin for the bottom here, and then you're going to go down here. So to the bottom sleeve, you're matching up to the side seam of the dress. Alright, and again, I'm going to start right here. It's just where I like to start. It's easier for me. You can start wherever, as long as you go around in a complete circle. Okay. As you're going, make sure your raw edges are still together. Remove your pins. Right back over where I started, pulling my little frayed edges here. Snipping all those, and again, you need to secure this somehow, either by knotting it, by zigzag stitching over it, or by tucking your tails with a little we're gonna call that a tail tucker. I don't know what it's called, but that's what I'm gonna call it. So now your dress is complete. All you need to do is press it, and I'm gonna flip it out to show you right side out what it looks like. Again, all I'll have to do now is press it. But that's pretty much the gist of the t-shirt dress. Let me flip this up just a little bit so you can see. That's pretty much the gist of the t-shirt dress. It's a little bit, that's how it looks. I'm gonna press it and then we'll see how it looks at the very end. So give me. All right, so there's the t-shirt dress. After it's been pressed, it's super cute. Neckband's been pressed. If you don't have a sewing machine to do the sleeves, you can do a serge. You can serge the edge just like we did the bottom, and before we hemmed it, you can do that on your sleeves if you want to, and have people roll them. That'd be cute. But It's really best done if you have a sewing machine and a serger, but you can absolutely do it with one or the other. It's just going to be a little bit different, but it's super cute. Hope you guys love this tutorial. Make sure you join our group, RV Show and Tell, on Facebook. We'll link it down below. And make sure you subscribe, give us suggestions on what you guys want to see, because we're putting out a new video every Tuesday for Teach It Tuesdays. So we hope that you guys will subscribe and love what we're doing, and we hope that we're helping you, whether you are just a mom who needs alone time and want you to have, you want me time, and you think someone's gonna do that for you. It's done that for so many people. It was that for me. If you are a small shop owner, or you're wanting to start a small shop and you're wanting to learn how to do stuff, we hope these videos are helping you. And absolutely, we love hearing success stories. So join our group and share, what's going on with your life. It's a great community of women who are all, like-minded. So join our group, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.